Welcome everyone to ABG Investor Days. I am the responsible analyst for Capacent, and my name is Stefan Knutsson. And today I have with me Edvard Björkenheim, CEO of Capacent.
Thank you. Shall I go ahead?
Yes.
Good. All right. As mentioned, Edvard Björkenheim, I'm the CEO of Capacent. I will tell you briefly, just give you a brief introduction of the company as such, then go into the figures for 2019 and Q4 especially, and then talk about something that is inevitable to talk about, of course, the current situation and how we intend to move forward. Capacent is a Nordic management consulting firm, with the vision to become a forerunner in helping companies in change processes and transformations. There's 170 of us around today in Sweden, Finland and Iceland, spread out over 5 offices. And we have expanded from our sort of core offering being management consulting during the last 2 years to executive search and interim management. We've had quite a long journey already as an independent company ever since we were spun off from ABB in 2002. And a lot has happened since then. We have both organically established new offices and new businesses. We have made acquisitions, even divestments, and all of this has really been focused on the management consulting business up until 2018, when we made a change in our strategy to make a broader offering in order to become both more relevant to our customers as well as find new growth avenues and less volatility in our business. And this happened in 2018 when we established organically a search business called Capasearch, and in 2019 Capacify, that is our interim management business, in 19 before the summer. Just moving on here and looking at some of the figures and more the long-term figures here, we have a stable track of growth. I think we've grown 12% during the last CAGR per year during the last 11 years, and we've done this, as mentioned, both organically and through acquisitions. And we strongly believe and want to grow further as well. We believe it's really healthy for a consulting business to grow. Now, last year we didn't grow in relation to 2018. It was a bit of a sort of gap year financially. We invested in the new businesses. We had some difficult markets on the management consulting side, but we had good sort of indications that the road we have chosen to take is good in terms of bringing new revenues and diversifying our offering. And we can see that as well, that in 2018 our profitability was clearly higher than in 2019 due to these reasons, but I will come back to those soon. Now, just looking here at the different countries and the different segments or main offerings that we have, we can see some interesting things here as far as Q4 is concerned. And we can see that in Sweden, where we have established these 2 new businesses, the decrease in revenue in the management consulting business has been more than offset by the new businesses, and this is really good news. In Finland and Iceland, we can see that revenues have been decreasing, where the majority of the business is management consulting, and that you can see in both these pictures that the aim we are achieving here is to sort of decrease the share of management consulting, not by decreasing the management consulting business as such. We want to grow that one as well, but to grow the sort of sister businesses that will make us stronger towards our customer and more interesting as a company as such. Maybe just a few words as well on Finland, where we have a bit of a different business model with a lot more success fees than in the other countries, meaning that the volatility is per definition higher there, and that we will see in the next picture as well. And here we can see that what happened in Q4 as far as profitability is concerned in the different segments. Sweden delivered a sort of decent result. In Finland, we had a very big difference in relation to the last year or the previous year, where again volatility is hit by success fees that land depending on when the contract is or how the contract is set up, and we can see that there a big difference. In addition to that, we had as well in Finland a more difficult market, as in all countries, with companies sort of being in a waiting position. What should we do? A lot of uncertainty. And in Iceland, we can see that we had, and here we have a incorrect figure. In fact, they should be turned around. Iceland had a better Q4 in 2019 than in 2018, with really good cost control. Overall, I would say that we have reacted to this situation with a decreased profitability. We have been very selective in our replacement recruitments, meaning that our personnel costs have come down pretty significantly. We have as well are shifting into new business models with Capacify, where we have a more variable cost base, which is of course attractive if in unsecure times. And above all, I think in a business like ours, in a consulting business, it's really a top line business. So we really need to focus on how we can help our customers and how we make them understand that we are there to help them and succeed in engaging new cooperations with new customers. So we have launched as well a inbound marketing initiative piloted in Finland and being now expanded into the other countries with interesting results, and with the aim really to just be present out there and top of mind when companies have issues within the services that we offer. And finally, we should mention as well the incentive program which we previously had, which was based on a haircut on EBITDA, has been changed into an warrant program, meaning that it will not hit the P&L as in as hard a way, but is still a very attractive sort of incentive for key persons. Now, just moving on, what we did in June was that we started Capacify, the interim business, organically, and then we made an acquisition in September of RGP Nordics business. We have talked about this earlier as well, and I just wanted to highlight that this integration has been very successful, and it has really given Capacify the let's say the accelerated growth path that we wished for, and they have managed it in a really good way as well. And secondly, we have received a clearly stronger finance offering in the management consulting side, a business which is going really well right now. Naturally, there has been a lot of sort of reviewing of the client bases as well. How can we serve customers coming from the RGP Nordics and vice versa? And our conclusion here has been that, or we have indicated previously that it will increase our top line by something between 30 to 70 million, and this is probably the last time we'll show this picture as such, because now the RGP Nordics business is really integrated into our daily business. But we see that we will definitely land in the top range of the indicated range for this year, which is good as such. Now then, going over to the situation of today, I guess we are really living extraordinary times right now. We have sort of emergency states in many nations. We have businesses shutting down and so on. I would say that the main thing really and the main challenge is the low visibility currently. There is a lag, of course, when it impacts us, if it impacts us, but the main difficulty, as mentioned, is visibility. What will happen in 1 or 2 months' time? Decisions made yesterday are irrelevant. We just have to be on top of it every day and see what happens. But in general, of course, it's not good news. It's not good news for anyone. Well, maybe for very few businesses, but still, it's in general, it's bad news, of course. We have sort of mixed feelings about all of this. I mean, we are the market leaders in cash flow management, and that is what every company now is looking at. And we have discussions there with many customers ongoing about doing things. So in a best case, I would say that we could even experience higher demand than normally. But it would be naive just to rely on that in such a situation where companies really some of them just shut down. And so we are definitely prepared as well for lower demand scenarios and need to be that. And if we again just focusing on the fact that we really try to be out there to help our customers, we both have the will and the skills and the resources to help out quickly. But what I would say is in this situation with low visibility, we need to be ready to act naturally as well on the cost side. And we have 3 main cost categories. It's really personnel, it's rents, and it's other costs. And that's what we have to work with in that case, in case we cannot generate enough top line. But as mentioned, we don't have a clear picture about this yet, and I guess no one has. But we are of course having contingency plans and being ready to react if needed. Finally, we can see, of course, the current situation as well on our share price. Naturally, we have been hit pretty hard, and I think our valuation has never been this low. I think exceptional times lead to exceptional consequences, and I think this is one of them. But this situation needs to be handled naturally, but we still try to keep our eyes as well on the longer term targets in parallel with that. And we are building a platform of services that can really help customers in change situations, in transformations, and we are diversifying our services so the volatility as such should decrease over time. And I think now, of course, things are really special, and that's how it is. But we will handle that in as good as we can, and I think we can do it in a good way, and then focus on what happens tomorrow. And we haven't changed the ambition to double our company by 2022. We might be in a situation in a month's time where we have to say that it's maybe a year later or so, but let's not take that in advance. We want to grow the management consulting business. There's a lot to be done on that side still, even if we had a tough 2019. And we know that we are a middle-sized management consulting company, and we have to select in which areas we want to be really good at, and we have selected to be very good in strategy and commercial, mainly commercial and pricing as a spearhead service, operations with cash flow management being one of the main offerings, and finance. Then secondly, we will continue to diversify our portfolio of services. Now we have search both in Sweden and in Iceland. We have interim in Sweden only, and we intend to expand that to the other countries as well. And we are looking at new potential portfolio companies or platform companies or services as such all the time. We are increasing the technological capabilities. We are building partnerships. We are increasing our own knowledge and have new offerings, for instance, in robotics. So we are taking steps there that are very promising. And we haven't focused now lately, in fact, on the expansion to a new country. That has been sort of down prioritized with and focused really on the other points. And as always, the personnel that's really all Capacentians are the company, and we really want to take care of them in a good way, make sure they develop so that we can serve our customers in the best possible way. I think that is about it from my side. How shall we proceed?
Okay, thank you, Edward, for the presentation. I will begin by addressing the corona situation here. And you mentioned that you work with different scenarios based on demands. Can you quantify like the magnitude of scenarios where you work at? And do you also have like positive scenario and very, very bad scenarios?
Yeah. Well, I would say that we have business in 3 countries, and they are hit slightly differently perhaps, and especially above all the states are reacting in a bit different ways. So that's one dimension. Then we have different businesses as well, which are impacted in different ways. Sort of in general, when we started to broaden our portfolio, we thought we saw that the search business is typically a shorter business, a more transactional business that can generate very high margins. We had about 50% margins certain months in Q4, but it can be as well volatile. So it might be in theory the most volatile business. Then secondly, we have the management consulting side, which is probably somewhere in between. We can see that we have difficulties in gaining sufficient new business already in Q4, so it is somehow impacted by uncertainty, of course. And then we have Capacify, which is probably the most stable one, both in terms of having variable cost and pretty long assignments. So I would say that we have a sort of portfolio of businesses or that we need to look at in different ways and react differently within them, and perhaps as well within the different countries.
And looking at the countries, do you see does it differ a lot between Sweden, Finland, and Iceland, the situation right now?
Well, I would say that what is common is the lack of visibility, and that goes for all countries. And as mentioned, we have interesting discussions with several companies. But do they materialize? We are not sure about that, of course, or will companies close down, or what will happen? That really is the reason for the low visibility.
Mm. And looking at your customers and what is the exposure that you have right now on types of industries and such as?
Finland and Sweden has pretty similar customer base with focusing only on the corporate sector. A lot of industrial companies, retail, services, media, quite a diverse sort of field within the corporate sector. No financial institutions really, and no government side of the public sector. Then as far as Iceland is concerned, there we have a mix. It's roughly 50% public sector, 50 private companies, and So, I mean, we have some companies that are not very interested at talking right now because they don't really know what happens. And on the other hand, we have companies that have approached us. So we really don't have the full picture yet.
And on skills, you mentioned that the cash flow management is increasing in demand. How about your other skills? Do you see other areas also unaffected, or how do you see that?
Well, I would say that if we think about the management consulting side, I think we are really equipped well to help our customers come out of a potential squeeze. I mean, companies are focusing on cash flow and on cost right now. And then the lucky ones who have a business who's booming right now, they have different thoughts, of course. But in these areas, I think we are really well positioned to help, both in terms of the cash flow side, the cost side, but then as well how to price, for instance, in these very exceptional times. Those kind of questions we work with a lot as well. And then we have the whole finance side, which is really needed now because you need to know what happens in your finance department.
Yeah, I agree with that. You also mentioned profitability measures being taken for 2020 already before the corona situation. How does that correlate with your growth targets? What is the balance now? Is it profitability, growth?
Well, I think, I mean, our long-term target is definitely to grow. I think we had a more challenging market on the consulting side in the end of 2019 than we had wished for. We didn't succeed in getting enough new big projects, and therefore we had, of course, to adjust somehow. And as in our line of business, the personnel turnover is pretty high typically, maybe between 10 to 20%. We go down in number of sort of headcounts just by being pretty selective on the replacement recruitment. So that is one thing, which is, of course, the largest cost item we have. But then, I mean, other measures are being planned, of course, and we need to have the readiness to react. But we haven't really done anything too heavy yet at this situation. We really need to have a little bit better visibility.
Yeah, and you mentioned also that the target might be pushed a year depending on how the outcome of the corona situation becomes. How do you what is your best case view on how long do you view this can affect your business?
Well, I think that the situation we are in is, of course, not sustainable, and the cost for the whole society of doing what we are doing now, shutting down, is too high to keep on going for a long time. So I think that before summer, I believe that things will start to get normalized, and then hopefully we are in a more normal world again after summer.
Yeah. Okay. Have you looked anything on what the Swedish government proposes for businesses in order to help them?
Yes, we have, and those kind of packages are being launched by all three states where we operate. I think what is common in them is still that some of the initiatives are still propositions and haven't been decided on, and it is still unclear on how to do things in practice. So we are really looking at it, of course, and if we need to use that weapon, then we will use it. But right now, it's quite unclear how it should be used. So that's maybe one point to note.
Yeah. Okay. And to conclude with the more positive thing, you still seem upbeat about the RGP acquisitions. Is everything going as planned there?
Yes, I think it has been a really successful acquisition. And when I mentioned that I won't show that picture again, I think that's just a sign of it being a good thing, because it's really, we don't really talk about the acquisition anymore. It's just business as usual. And what we acquired was a set of customer contracts and really good individuals and an ongoing business really. And I think it's really part of Capacent now, so we don't have to talk too much about that as such anymore. But the acceleration it has given Capacify has been really great. We can see in Q4 figures that Capacify had a revenue of 13 point something, so on average, 5 million, and it's a growing business. So it's really good, and then and it had a very good impact as well on the financial side or the finance services of the management consulting business. And then all in all, I would say that what it gives us is that we can not only work in the project format in the management consulting side, we can now as well find the right leaders through Capasearch, but as well fill in with line persons from Capacify and work with project consultants and line persons alongside and do things that we haven't been able to do previously.
Okay, sounds very interesting. And is it also within Capacify that you see the highest demand in the short to mid-term?
It seems to be the most sort of stable business, yes. But as mentioned, it's too early to say. I can't indicate anything because whatever I would say right now might be totally different tomorrow. So,
yeah.
But that's a feeling, yes.
Okay, perfect. By that, I would like to thank you, Edvard, for today's presentation.
Thank you.
Coming here.